Recently, I heard someone offer this valuable piece of advice. Let your logic speak louder than your emotions. And I think it's an important message for our times. This isn't to say that you should discard emotions in favor of pure logic. Emotion has its value. But we should be careful not to allow our emotions to drown out the voice of reason. It's important to ask ourselves, how often do we allow our emotions to override our judgment? How often do we allow our emotions to be the driving force behind our actions and decisions in life? And how often does that get us into trouble? Something that perhaps we've all observed in our society is that there's been a lot of intense emotion in recent times, a great deal of fear and anger and outrage. And it seems that many people are emotionally charged, but not thinking clearly and rationally. And so they're behaving in ways that can sometimes be hostile and destructive. I've noticed how many people tend to be very impulsive, how they jump to conclusions about all sorts of things without first investigating, without even knowing all the facts. People have all kinds of unfounded assumptions and opinions about things that they tend to know little or nothing about, and then they go out into the world and create unnecessary conflict and chaos. There's all this intense emotion, but not a lot of rationality or logic. And even if someone's emotional reaction is valid, their actions can still be unwarranted or overblown, causing more problems than they solve. I'm sure we can all think of moments in our own lives when, overcome by intense emotion, we did things that we would later regret, where we perhaps overreacted or made matters worse. There may have even been times when it turned out that we were wrong, that we were reacting to bad information. But by the time we learned the truth, it was too late. The damage was done. When there is intense emotion, our rational faculties become clouded. Our ability to think clearly and logically is obscured. But when we can calm ourselves to a reasonable degree, we regain access to those faculties. This is why it's important that whenever we find ourselves overcome by intense emotion and we feel the impulse to act, to instead take pause, to take a moment to breathe deeply, to take a moment to be present and allow that intensity to settle so that we can gain a bit of clarity, so that we can assess the situation with more clarity, to put aside our assumptions for the moment and to look at what is actually taking place, and to think about what may be the best course of action, or whether action is even necessary. This is especially important when it comes to gossip, rumor, and hearsay, when we hear about something without knowing whether or not it's actually true, or without having all the facts. If you're going to react to something, especially if your actions are aggressive or destructive, you had better be damn sure that you're right. And you had better be aware of the consequences. I think a lot of violence and destruction we see could be avoided if people let their logic speak louder than their emotions. And I think we could all benefit from taking the time to sit with our emotions, allowing them to settle before we make choices that will impact our lives and the lives of others.